This show is brought to you by PivX, private instant verified transactions. With its groundbreaking zero-coin staking and masternodes, PivX is the top privacy currency. Feel free to trade some on Binance or Bittrex. And for more information, go to www.pivex.org. Hello and welcome to ITK Crypto, and we have got a great interview lined up today because we have got two guests from Ethergem, which from now on we'll call it Egem, but just to introduce them, it's from Ethergem. We've got two guests. Can you just introduce yourselves, please, gentlemen?
Hi, I'm Troy. I'm the community director of Egem.
And you got Osoese here, core dev on Egem, and Sapphire, the integrated subchain.
Okay, Troy and Osoese. Okay, well, I'll tell you what we like to do with our guests is just find out a little bit more about yourselves before you actually started, getting into crypto, what your working background was. So, Troy, we'll start with you. What were you doing before crypto?
Before crypto, I was actually doing some oil field work. But prior to that, I was in computers doing Dell support and break fix type stuff. So I know my way around computers.
Yeah, always helpful in in any walk of life, isn't it?
Yes.
We'll get on to how that's helped you in crypto as well. And Osoese?
I'm a systems engineer. I've built quite a few computer systems, one of which was deployed in the federal government in the United States. And I got into Bitcoin in 2013, mainly to try out some internet gambling. It was a little bit tough to get online at the time. And went full bore as a developer last year with Ella first, and then into this Egem team, which has been a remarkable experience. And also I've bridged over into a couple other coin teams, XBI mainly, and that's about it.
I've completely forgotten to introduce Cryptosi to us. Obviously, it's me, Tom White, but Cryptosi's with us as usual as well. And Cryptosi, you've been hoping to get these guys on to ITK Crypto for quite some time. I mean, how happy are you that they're here now?
Yeah, well, we actually had Samuel Gosling from Validity on, and when I discovered that his project wasn't actually built on Ethereum but built on Egem, the wheels in my brain started turning, and I realized this was a project that we just simply had to have on the show. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to have them on. Well,
in that case, let's get Troy to explain to us exactly what Egem is and what it does.
Well, Egem actually is pretty much an Ethereum clone, so to speak, with some added benefits. In the future, it's going to be able to be integrated with Sapphire and work together with that. One of the things that we do have going along with that is a Quarry node system, which for layman's terms, it's basically a paid node system where you're running a node to help secure the network and you're getting eGems in conjunction with that. The main difference of that is it's kind of run through our Discord so that it cannot be taken advantage of. So it's kind of limited in that aspect of you have to have a Discord account in order to run it, and you can only have two of the type of Quarry nodes that are available.
So I tell you what, you mentioned Quarry nodes a few times there. Just for the benefit of our listeners, just to explain what exactly Quarry nodes are. I'm not sure which one of you is best set to do that, but what are Quarry nodes?
Quarry node is just it doesn't do block propagation similar to a masternode. Instead, there's a block reward that's distributed to folks who run a Quarry node. And in that sense, we grow our network.
Okay, Cryptosi, that all makes sense to you, does it? What do you think about that? What do you know about Quarry nodes?
Yeah, it does make sense to me. It's a nice addition and something that Ethereum probably could have looked at adding themselves. So yeah, it's a nice addition. It basically is another way to well, as I understand it, to grow the network, for the network to expand. And for new coins to be added to the supply. Is that right? Osoese?
Yeah, it locks up a little bit of the distribution it gains some market support and it gains propagation of the network. And what we're doing is we're building out an integrated subchain called Sapphire on top of the Ethereum clone Ethergem base. And what that does, so we have really 2 node systems and multiple levels of nodes on each chain. But as we move forward, we're integrating those chains really down into the direct RPC native communication level, where at the start, what Sapphire is doing is simply grabbing information from Ethergem on a per block basis and then associating the data on its subchain to that master data as like a parent-child relationship system. And we have some added benefits on Sapphire. But over time, we're going to see a network that has really 2 levels. You have your general Ethereum style node with Ethergem, Egem, and then you have your Sapphire node, which is a little bit separate and a little bit different because it's a different technology.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what Crypto said earlier on about having Gozzy from Validity on ITK Crypto on this podcast, and he mentioned, Egem. So are there any other notable projects launching on Egem?
Well, right now, what we have, Gozzy is one of our early supporters and a great guy. He brings an entire community from Europe into the mix for us. Most of us on Egem from the admin team are based in the States and Canada. So Gozzy put his token platform on Egem to start instead of choosing Ethereum, and we appreciated that. And Egem is always going to be a proof of work project. So we do have nodes, but our main source of block propagation is mining. And while we don't have a number of projects other than Gozzy on the chain right now, we have a few that are like considering us and getting started. What we do have is on top of the Sapphire chain, we have an integrated DEX for trading right out of the wallet. We have a multi-currency wallet, and we have the capability for coins to ICO, if you will, with a mining base. They can ICO a mineable coin on Sapphire. And then we have integrated other coin. We call it quantum swaps, and we're just getting to the point of posting proofs for that right now. I posted the first one yesterday, and it's really just a lot of console app output at this moment. But shortly, we'll show the full proof. And what that is we can transfer Bitcoin on top of the Sapphire platform very, very quickly once it's on the platform. And it never leaves the Bitcoin chain. You never lose your keys. Everything's totally decentralized. No centralization.
Would you describe this as a pretty exciting time for Egem then, as a project?
We're definitely stoked. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is all sounding quite impressive, Crypto. See, I don't know how much you knew about Egem, before this and how much research you've done, but this is impressive to me.
Yeah, it is. One of the main things, I guess, which Osoese kind of ran through there is the fact that it's got a decentralized exchange, which is also known as a DEX. Now, we've had some exchanges on and we've had some non-custodial exchanges on. What we haven't had on yet, and this will be the first time, is anybody who's actually had a DEX on their platform. I don't think the DEX is out yet. I guess it will be released with Sapphire, will it? Oh, so easy. And if it is, when do you plan on releasing Sapphire? Do you have a release date as yet?
We're getting very, very close. As with anything, when you're doing software development, you think it's going to be done this week and obstacles present themselves. But we do have a basic stable chain now where the nodes are syncing. We wrote Sapphire from the ground up. So we didn't copy another coin or we didn't copy another platform's data core to start. We wrote it from the ground up. And so there was a lot of different things we had to write, the RPC connections for miners to connect. We had to write the mining software that connects to that RPC and mines the chain. It runs Blake 2S. We had to write the wallet RPC protocols. But one thing that we do that's unique is we use the same Egem wallet. So you can sign a transaction with your Egem private key and post it to Sapphire or to Egem. And that also derives other currency wallets for use on this DEX. So if you're going to transfer Bitcoin, you will have a Bitcoin wallet that's associated with your Egem keys, but there's also some wallets that get created in the network for the deposits because it's a decentralized style deposit. When you deposit in, nobody's holding your funds but you, and the wallet trades through some unique things that we put together on the DEX. I don't want to become long-winded here, but just trying to give you an overview. So we're getting very, very close. And as soon as we get stability, we're going to go to a test net and start promoting. We've gotten to the point we were having some sync issues with the nodes up until recently. We got that rectified last week. Now we're posting the proof for the quantum swap and getting ready to go into a test net. So it should be shortly available.
Because we've got a dev on here, there's just a few questions that I really want to ask. I don't want to get too technical, but with regards to the DEX, there's two main questions. The first one is, with this decentralized exchange, all of the transactions, who will be, I think signing's the wrong word, but who will be calculating the transaction? Will that be the nodes? Will that be the level 2 tier nodes? And my second part of the question is, will you have anything like some form of sporks like they have in Dash, where you get the chance to turn off certain aspects? So maybe you might be able to turn off the decentralized exchange as a dev team if anything goes wrong. And those are my two questions, really.
Okay. Well, the first question is, all of the exchange operates on the nodes, which are our peer clients, and they connect with each other. They run over RPC. You post a transaction or you post an order, which is what we call it. It's very similar to like any other transaction you would do on any other chain. You sign it, you submit it. If the funds are in your wallet, it goes onto the order book that goes into every peer's database, just like Ethereum. We copied a lot of concept. I said we didn't copy the code, but we did copy a lot of concepts from Ethereum because we're familiar with it. So every Ethereum node has, data store. So your orders get stocked up in these data stores, provable by the Patricia Merkle tree, just like you would if you were on an ETH node. And when a new order is posted, it pulls the orders out of the peer client's data store that relate to that order, that ticker, those up and down, the ask by spread, and it will process related orders, because you'll probably post an order that doesn't process right away. That's normally what happens, right? Unless you're just buying market. So that's kind of the nuts of how the exchange works from a quantum level. I apologize, I forget your second question.
And the second one was, do you have sporks or anything in place to allow you to shut down the functionality of the decentralized exchange? I don't know, should anything go wrong, or should you be harassed by some shady government entity?
We're going to have something like that. Right now, the main reason that something like that would exist is when you're talking about an exchange, you're talking about interfacing with other blockchains and with other explorers and things like that. So there has to be some native capability to be able to turn off something that goes wrong. I mean, we've all seen, I'm sure that you guys have all participated in an exchange where a coin wallet gets shut down by the dev team because 51% attack or whatever's going on. So yes, we do have that. I don't know that we call them sporks, but we will have that native capability. And some of that is really kind of in play right now with the development.
Yeah, okay. It's great hearing that. I know Carl loves to get into the more technical questions like that. So Cryptosphere, you jump in at any time to ask more, certainly. And it's really interesting to the listeners. Troy, let's just bring you back in now, because lots has been made of Ethereum's planned move to POS. Has Egem considered this? And I mean, what do you think about it in general?
This podcast has been brought to you by Rhubarb Media. Rhubarb Media are the branding specialists behind successful crypto projects such as PivX, Vendible, and Libertaria. The Rhubarb style is both loved and respected the world over. So if you want your project to appeal to techies and everyday users alike, give Rhubarb Media a try. You cannot possibly be disappointed. Link is in the description.
For Ethereum, how big they are, it may be beneficial to them. But for Egem, We don't see that in any near future. We're pretty much going to remain a proof of work coin until something changes that outlook, until the community decides to go a different route. But first and foremost, we're a community coin. So we are run by them, for them. For this point forward, we don't have any place on the roadmap to go to POS.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it would make much sense to do that, I guess.
Our core is pretty much miners. We were backed by miners coming out of the gate. We're about 1 year old, and was it Miner Pool really and the Pearl guys really kind of stepped up and provided our initial hash, and it's been a good experience. We've had a good relationship with our mining core base.
Okay, good to hear. One of the biggest developments in Egem, well, arguably, I mean, you tell us whether it is or isn't, but I'm talking about Sapphire. What is Sapphire, and what features will it come with?
Sapphire is the integrated subchain that we were talking about, and it's initially going to have some coming out of the gate, some DEX functionality, and one cool thing about Sapphire is it's not just a DEX. You can hold other currencies in your Sapphire wallet. So once you quantum swap a coin onto Egem Sapphire platform, you'll be able to transfer that coin to any other wallet on the Egem Sapphire platform in about our block time. We're trying to get to a 5-second block time. So it would be like a 5-second exchange. That includes Bitcoin. And that's where we really think we'll make an initial showing.
I've got a question there then. If you're planning on having a 5-second Bitcoin block time, does that mean that your Bitcoin transfers, if I transfer money from one Sapphire client to another, it won't actually be on the Bitcoin exchange? So it'll move, it won't be on the Bitcoin chain, sorry. It will just move into the Sapphire chain and then move back out of the Sapphire chain when I want to move it back to Bitcoin. Is that how that would work?
No, it's actually, we stepped back from that and we planned ahead. So when you make a Sapphire deposit of Bitcoin onto the Sapphire chain, it never leaves the Bitcoin chain. It just goes into a Sapphire derived wallet that's protected and encrypted in a way where it's distributed on the nodes. And there's some functions there. So the proof that I was talking about that I'm posting right now is you first ask for a deposit address from the network. It will return a deposit address and you deposit to that coin. Then, so Sapphire Wallet works just on Egem, meaning you use your Egem private key or your Egem, like if you log in with your Trezor or Ledger from Egem, that's your wallet. And that gives you access to all of your other coins. So we wanted to be so simple that my grandmother could use crypto. And that's why we started with that base. Then you would make your deposit. And there's some functions that you can call to the network. You will sign the transaction with your Egem account, post to the chain, and it controls that wallet. And it will sign a transaction with your Bitcoin address that you currently control. But if you move those coins to somebody else, then this is the proof that I posted yesterday, then they send their signed transaction with their Egem Sapphire wallet, and they can prove a Bitcoin signed transaction that says that they're the owner of the wallet. And that's kind of like the core right there, is you could just swap out who owns the wallet, decentralized on chain. And that's where we're unique. And that's the only way we could figure out to do a 5-second Bitcoin. I could give you more details, like how we break up the deposits on the way in, because obviously Bitcoin is the type of coin that you have to have, like your unspent transaction outputs aren't divisible, mainly like the way that I presented. So you would have to kind of like think ahead, how will you get it down to in denomination and stuff like that. But basically that's the way it works. And that was what we were striving to do.
Do you know what that sounds? Yeah, that sounds like a novel take on it. I have not seen it being done that way before. I've got another question. I've got an idea of how this may work, but from you guys' point of view, what will be the process for a project or another coin trying to get themselves added to your DEX? What would they have to do to make that happen?
It's a good question, and thanks for asking it. So Egem and Sapphire are related to the core, and we're going to continue that relationship going forward, direct more natively to the chains. But initially, you would spend Egem to ICO on the Sapphire platform or list. There's different amounts, and those coins get distributed to the Egem Quarry nodes. That's another unique aspect of Egem Sapphire and the whole ecosystem.
Okay, is there a set price for each listing, or is that something that will be moved? Because what I'm getting at is, if you do price in Egem and then Egem moons, then obviously the price of then getting listed on the DEX will also moon. So is there going to be a set price? And also the second part of the question is, with that being the case, are you worried at all about being labeled a security?
Well, okay. The security question, I'm not worried about being labeled a security because it's Blake 2S mine. And if somebody puts their coin on the exchange and they're a security, that's the same thing as listing on Ethereum as a token and being a security. You're responsible for your own activity in that regard, as far as I can tell. So no, I don't really think we'll be a security. As far as a set price, what we're dealing with is we have an exchange, and I'd rather keep it from being a set price. We'll probably come up with a good relative value. And we haven't made the final decision. It's change a couple lines of code kind of a thing at game time. But we're probably going to come up with a relative value based on maybe like a tenth of a Bitcoin or something like that. Just for sake of conversation, that fluctuates on the Sapphire Exchange marketplace. That way we're not tied to if Egem moons, because I certainly think if we present a 5-second Bitcoin, that Egem probably will moon.
To be honest with you, from where Egem is now, and this is not investment advice, but when I spoke to Gozzy and I came into Discord before I actually checked the value. I came into Discord, I spoke to a few guys, and I was quite aware of both the level of expertise, but maybe the there's kind of like a sensible nature to the Discord. People are not saying silly things, outlandish things. It's kind of like we're going to build this slowly. It's going to take as long as it takes. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. This may be difficult. This may not. And those kind of things all made sense to me. Then I went on CoinMarketCap and saw that the market cap is currently tiny. So from my point of view, I don't think you guys are going to have to do much to moon. I think it's almost a given, but I must also say this is not investment advice, but yeah, you should definitely buy some Egem. But yeah, Tommy.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think you've sold Egem really, really well here. You come across so well. It's certainly I didn't know as much about it as Cryptosi, but it's been absolutely fascinating listening to it. And if you don't mind now, we'll just end with our final couple of questions, which we ask everyone, and Cryptosi and I get some really good answers to this one. If we can have both your opinions, it doesn't matter who goes first. Tell you what, Troy, we'll bring you in first. If you had to go all in on a project, which would it be and why? And it's got to be projects which have already been released.
Well, obviously, I'm all in on Egem.
You're not allowed to say Egem.
I
forgot to. That was a vital thing I was supposed to say. You can't say your own.
Well, I mean, I would go all in on Bitcoin because that's the first one. I don't really follow too many other projects to the in-depth I have been, because Egem has been my focus. But honestly, I would just go all in on Bitcoin if I had to go all in on just one.
Yeah, we get people saying Bitcoin a lot for exactly that reason. It is, the original. So easy. Are you the same?
Well, aside from I would be already all in on my own project. Here's an answer that you probably won't hear too much, but you might appreciate. I work also on XBI, and if I was looking in the marketplace today, coming into it fresh and new, I'd look at what are all the masternode based coins copying as a code base. And since I can't choose my own project here, what I'm going to say is I would look at PIVX, because PIVX, I mean, you look at any masternode coin that's out there and they copied PIVX. So the PIVX coin guys, those developers must be doing something right. Just my take.
Well, we're always delighted to hear that, because we have actually had PIVX a few times. And given that they're one of our sponsors, Cryptosi and I are very happy that you've said PIVX. Isn't that right, Cryptosi?
Yep, I'm absolutely delighted. Also, I've got another question, actually. Is this for either of you guys? But with Ethereum, what I'm thinking now, with Egem, we've got the chance to launch an ICO. And then I've also got an inbuilt decentralized exchange to put my ICO on. I think that's probably something that Ethereum really missed out on having. Now, with those two things in mind, there's a good chance that transaction volume is going to go through the roof and make possibly Ethereum scaling look like a tiny problem compared to what you guys have. What are your thoughts about scaling Egem? Is it something that you're worried about as the project grows? And do you think, I guess we can't really go into the technicals of sharding because it's so complicated, but do you have any ideas on how you're going to tackle scaling? And will it be sharding or will it be something else?
Well, let me ask that right off the bat. There's one major difference between what Ethereum is and what Egem is. One of the major differences, we only use GIF. We don't use parity. So some of the scaling things that they have in place require parity to actually be implemented in order for that to go through. So I think we're going down a different path on that aspect. And with using the integration of the Sapphire subchain and the way that Osoese here, Frank, has been designing this, I think we'll surpass that. I think that we don't have any issue on any scalability in the future. Now, granted, it's going to be a long road, but I don't see any problems with that.
Well, just to jump in, I am nervous about that as a developer, but I think we have some good solutions in mind. When we did the initial Sapphire testing, we loaded about 5,000 individual transactions at first on a block to see if it would work, and that seemed to work pretty well. We haven't been back to that level of testing during the build, but that's what I'm thinking we're going to end up on, is something along those lines. 5,000 transactions is a lot to process in 5 seconds. So I want to be at 5 seconds, but I think we're going to probably lag. Egem, we've held a 13-second block time pretty consistently until relatively recently. We did some updates that have slowed that down just a tad, and we're going to be updating to bring it back up. But we feel confident that we'll be able to make it. We have another idea also. We kind of call it a RAM, random access memory situation. That's kind of like probably similar to the sharding example that you gave, where you would kind of launch like a temporary sidechain, and we can scale into that if we need to. So that should answer your question. Thank you for asking it.
Yeah, awesome. Because I know success definitely has enemies, definitely has problems, and none in blockchain. It's no different. So it's good to know that you're thinking about it. And also, I wasn't aware of the differences there between Ethereum and Egem, and that you're not using parity. I wasn't actually aware of that. So that's quite interesting as well.
Yeah, the original core dev, Derek Riddles on the Discord, he modified Egem has Pearl Guard in it for 51% resistance. He modified the difficulty early on and modified the block time and scaled down things like Uncle rewards are very low paying activity on our chain versus almost a full reward on the Ethereum chain. Just some subtle differences. But we also we separated ourselves specifically from the Ethereum Classic core because we had worked with that on the Ella team, all of us together. And we knew where we wanted to be at with this launch as opposed to that.
Okay, I've got one more question. I promise this will be the last one. I won't keep you here all day. This is the last one. With your project still being quite new, and I guess your hashing power not being like as massive as, say, Bitcoin's, or maybe even Bitcoin Cash. Are you worried about 51% attacks at all? If not, how are you mitigating those?
Well, two ways. One, we obviously that's a concern for everybody, right? Especially small cap coins. But with Egem specifically and Sapphire, there's 2 points of reference for us to protect against a 51% attack. First is the Pearl Guard. Pearl Guard will fork the chain of somebody trying to do a 51%. Apologize for my dog. And the other way is Sapphire, as I mentioned early in the show, grabs a snapshot of the latest Egem block when it creates the most recent Sapphire block. And that gives us a point of reference if by chance somebody did overwrite some blocks on the chain that weren't supposed to be, which is what happens in a 51% attack.
What a fantastic cameo there from your dog. We've had someone's daughter making a cameo as well, so don't worry about that at all. Cryptos, is there anything else you'd like to ask before we ask where people can find a little bit more about the guys in Egem?
No, there's not. I just want to thank the guys for coming on. So yeah, I guess that's it. I did want to actually just quickly reference that the model of taking a snapshot of the blockchain is quite similar to what the Decred guys came and spoke about in our last podcast. So I guess that's a technique that a lot of projects are now using to worry about things like 51% attacks and blockchain security. So yeah, it's just thanks again, guys. It's been really great. We could have had a whole hour just speaking about the tech, the DEX and the Sapphire. So yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Where can people go to find out more about Egem, guys?
Egem.io.
Simple as that. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, everybody. Please like and subscribe. ITK Crypto, part of Smart Reach on Twitter. We are at Smart Reach 1. Thank you again, guys.
Thanks you. It was a pleasure.
This podcast was brought to you by Meros Cryptocurrency. Meros is a cryptocurrency payment system that does what cryptocurrency originally intended to do, be a practical and secure form of direct payment. Meros utilizes the best of current technology in a powerful new way. It introduces a groundbreaking consensus mechanism called merit caching. This enables Meros to be both feeless and instant while maintaining the same level of integrity of traditional networks like Bitcoin. To find out how you can participate in the future of crypto payments, go to meroscrypto.io now.